This foundation transit chart shows you everything you need to gain an instant snapshot for any date or time in the future or the past relative to any person in your GM hub. So we're going to just go through a quick overview of how this chart is structured, and for the granular detail I will be adding other videos in the future. So if you watch some of the other videos, you will start seeing commonality now between the genetic matrix family of charts. Always on the top left is the chart name. In the middle there is the view name. And on the right hand side is the current calculation system being used. So if you're focused on human design, always leave that set to tropical as a default. Now you'll see three body graphs here. On the left hand side is the foundation design of the person that we're looking at for this particular transit. On the right hand side is a body graph with just the transit activation. So this is where the planets are at this particular date. Here we have the 5th of February 2027 at this time, midday, and the transit age is the age of that person at the point that this transit is triggered. Now, in terms of the basics of what to look for if you're looking for a quick flash of what's going on this transit chart, I always like to look at the lines of the Sun and Earth on the transit, because this is giving you the quality of the day. Remember, the Sun and the Earth is 70% of the impact of the transit, so it's something that is certainly always going to be felt if that is something that is operating in definition for that person. And if you look at the foundation design of this person, well, you will see that they have an undefined self center, and yet the Sun and the Earth here, the 13 and the 7, are both self center gates. And that's because we have a full channel in the transit here. The 1020 awakening channel is triggered. That's bringing definition to the self-center, which is thus turning on the potential of the 13 and the 7 that this person has in their design anyway, with their south node, the optimism line that's fixed in detriment here, and the north node with the administrator line. And in terms of this day theme, a fourth line day, well, in terms of the hexagram structure, the fourth line is about externalizing the foundation of the hexagram. So this is a day where you can externalize. This is a day for requesting things, discussing things, putting things out there, and you're more likely to get a favorable outcome for those sorts of things on a fourth line day than any other lower trigram day. After looking at the quality of the line number of the transit Sun and Earth, well, it's always worth understanding the nodal environment that's going on here. The nodes are the seasons of the transit, and you can see the retrograde symbol there. Well, the nodes are always moving in retrograde. They're not actual planets, they are calculation points, the nodes of the moon. And with the fourth gate in the south node, well, we know this is a gate in the Ajna, is pointing up towards the 63, the gate of doubts. So this is an environment. Remember, the nodes are the environment around you in the transit or around this person, and thus it's about recognizing that this is not about creating uncertainty in one's life. It's all about the stimulation of intellectual development. So this is an environment where there's the discussion of doubts and potential formulas that are trying to resolve them ultimately. And of course, it's collective, it's for the benefit of humanity through sharing. So this is very much a background in the environment of intellectual stimulation, and the nodes here are not a movement like from south to north like the foundation design. It really is a fixed environment. So the 4 and the 49 are here together. The 49 is tribal, it's the gate of revolution, and it's about principles, the transformation of society based on principles of the highest quality. And certainly principles from the tribal perspective are all about resources, money, and the availability thereof. So given that this is an emotional gate, well, this can very much represent an emotional reaction to what's going on in this environment, the doubts in society and the discussion of all of the problems in that society, in the world around them. And of course, the intellectual stimulation of the environment can always lead to revolution, which is the nature of the 49th gate. And out of the transit imprints here, where they're superimposed in terms of the central body graph, everything coloured in purple in the central body graph is the transit, everything coloured in green is that foundation person. Well, if you look down the bottom here, it says connection channels. It's the connection between this person and this particular transit point. And specifically, you're looking for the personal and the educational channels. So clearly there's the possibility of unexpected experience emerging here as a kind of fantasy through the 41st gate, which is the moon of this particular transit, joining with the unconscious 30th gate of this person, forming the channel of recognition. So this is a powerful emotional moment for this person. An additional definition is coming here in the heart center, the money line. This person is naturally a 45, gathering together, somebody that can certainly gather together disparate people with the first line, that canvassing line. And the transit here through Saturn is bringing the second line, so that is a line that ultimately is recognized in its projection through the second line. Might is right, so don't mess with me, says the 21, or I'm gonna show you my teeth. And of course this is forming the money line, so the potential of a manifesting channel here that is motorized through that heart center. But it's always important to understand and reinforce when you're talking to anyone that the foundation, strategy and inner authority are always what really dictates the movement of that person. So it's about this response, it's an unconscious response in terms of this person. So respond, and then you can take advantage of the conditioning in the transit field, and it's that response that can be acted on immediately with great power and potential will. An educational channel simply is a channel in the transit where the other person has nothing in that particular channel. So this is the 1020, which is activating the self center that's turning on the full transit cross. This is a Sphinx cross. So again, this is someone that after responding has the potential to really know their place in the now through this 1020 channel, and to be able to articulate that because it's bringing definition to their undefined throat. You'll notice other small details in terms of this transit chart. You see these orange boxes around the sun and the earth of the personality of this person. Well, what that's showing you is that the underlying colour, the motivation of those two activations is a third colour, and that's fully resonating to the third colour at this moment in time of the transit field. And if he had other third colour activations in terms of his foundation design, these would be turned on orange as well. Specifically, if any of the planets are activated, it means they are resonating to that transit field, so they will be kind of highlighted, they will be felt quite strongly inside of that person. But it just means that that motivation is really supported by the transit environment. So, you know, that response, things should move quite easily for this person, given that this is the profile that is resonating to the color of the transit field. You will also notice these retrograde symbols, notwithstanding the nodes always moving in retrograde. Well, we have Mars in retrograde, Jupiter and Uranus, and if any of those are activating channels or are available in a defined center, well, the effect of a retrograde can make things a little less smooth than a planet moving in its normal direct motion. So always worth paying attention to that. And you can also see here some purple arrows on the foundation side of the design that are fixing what are normally unfixed lines in this person's line in detriment. So the second line, the bigotry line of the 13, is fixed in detriment with the conscious Mercury. And the reason for that fixing is that the Sun, which is in the 13th gate, is the detriment fixing of that second line. And similarly here with the unconscious Pluto being fixed in detriment, the fourth line of the 40, the line of organization, well, it's Mars fixing this particular detriment, and Mars is there with the 40th gate and first line, the line of recuperation. So that's it, a very basic overview of the foundation transit chart quantum view.